I mean, I know you got other stuff, but let's start this practice. First, 7, 8, 9 days?
Yeah, we're going into day 7, I believe, today. So, the schedule was we went Monday, Tuesday, off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Saturday, I rewarded them with a scrimmage, so a 20-minute scrimmage on Saturday, and then gave them Sunday off, and then, Monday, and now we're day 7 here Tuesday.
What do you think? What do you see?
I've been very, very pleasantly surprised. Guys are really stepping up and competing at every position, and especially, I came in here and had media last Tuesday. It was probably the worst practice that second day. That second day, they understood what we were doing, and kind of got bad vibes that day and bad energy, and I had to stop a couple times and just refocus, and guys, it's going to be like this. It's day in and day out. And a lot of it, maybe, you look back, you think maybe it's because they've never, to this point, went back-to-back days. And so I thought, maybe that was the reason. And, we had Wednesday off, kind of refocused. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday was great. We didn't have those same issues. So we carried over and really brought the energy.
Where are you getting better, and who's starting to make some strides?
Where we're getting better is probably just, you talked about, last time in the media, we talked about, our chemistry and learning how to play off each other, knowing your personnel, those type of things. And I think guys are starting to understand what other guys can do. And the more we can develop in that area, the better off we're going to be. So, I'm continually trying to mix and match with the rotations and the teams. So it's a competitive day in and day out. I haven't separated anybody, in terms of what I'm seeing in terms of a starting lineup. I haven't done that yet. So to this point, just trying to keep everything competitive and all those guys playing different combinations to figure out who plays well together.
How about handling the ball? I know last couple of years, particularly in preseason, turnovers have been an issue. How's that been?
It's been good. We certainly – Jeremiah's had his issues trying to learn everything, and he's a young point guard. We talked about the fact that, he hasn't played a game of college basketball yet. So he certainly had his issues. But, I was so pleasantly surprised when, he was running the point there in that 20-minute scrimmage on Saturday. He was 4 assists, no turnovers. So he stepped up. We've been on him day in and day out, and we got great guys to mentor him. Jordan's been a point guard. All those other guys on his staff, really can get in his ear and kind of show him the ways. So I've been pleasantly surprised with how those relationships are going, and he's carrying some of that over. Now, I've told him, Jeremiah, I said, you can, the biggest impact you're going to have from day one is probably going to be on the defensive end. So as long as you can be salvageable on the offensive end and not be a detriment, you're going to play.
Josh, do you guys have a secret scrimmage this year?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, so I'm just kind of wondering because of the Italy trip, that kind of changed plans a little bit, and so and even like the scrimmage coming up on Friday, the secret scrimmage, and then the charity thing. I mean, normally those things are really kind of they're learning tools and really not really. But how big do those kind of moments become now in this process?
Yeah, and the way we're scheduling everything, I wanted to reward them at the end of the week last week in terms of Saturday getting a 20-minute scrimmage and everybody getting some good looks. They practice and they drill and they practice and they drill. So getting that opportunity not only for them, for us as assistant coaches and me as a new head coach to simulate on the sideline. I'm going to do that. I did that last Saturday. I'm going to do it again this Saturday. And the following weekend, we'll have a close scrimmage against a legit opponent. And this weekend, for Mountaineer Madness, so they'll play, but it's not going to be real structured. But we're going to give them the fans a chance to see what we're working with day in and day out. But then we'll have the charity exhibition game with George Mason, and then from there on, we open up. So anytime I can bring referees in here and simulate a real game, it's going to be to my benefit, our assistants' benefits, the players' benefit. I mean, we're trying to reward them and simulate it as best we can.
Sounds like you charted that scrimmage. Who were some of the guys that stood out in that scrimmage?
Seth really played really well early. He played well early. He was making shots. Kobe and Seth played on that blue team together, and Josiah Harris. Those guys came out real well, and I think that's what I talked about earlier, the chemistry factor. Those guys have played together, so they knew what to expect from one another. So the core group on the white team was Kerr, Ray, Jesse. So there you saw some errors that you can attribute to that. And so they came out hot. They were moving the ball really well, the blue team. And then, we got down 12 points at some point and end up forcing overtime just because we turned up the pressure. And I kept on reiterating the fact that's how you change games. You really turn up the pressure defensively. So shots weren't falling for Ray early. They weren't falling for Kerr. So the pressure got turned up, and late in that game, we forced overtime and end up with a 2-minute overtime. So we end up playing 22 minutes, but with a 2-minute overtime, the white team, which Kerr and Ray and Jesse in that group, end up having a shot to win that didn't fall. But it was a really competitive 20 minutes, and it was really good for us in terms of growth.
It sounds like they need to play a lot of basketball. As many times you can get them 5-on-5 because they didn't do it in the summertime.
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
You got to figure out as much as you can, right?
yeah, we got to learn how each kid, everybody has their own strengths, weaknesses, and we got to figure out how we highlight those strengths and minimize those weaknesses.
I've got to ask you, what can you tell us about the Jose Perez situation?
The student privacy laws, I can't get into all that. I'm proud of Jose for coming in here and finishing his degree. He got his undergraduate degree here at West Virginia, and certainly that's a priority for student athletes to get that degree. So I'm really proud of the fact that he got that, but I can't go any further than that.
How does it impact your depth?
I think he's going to empower a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys on the roster that probably felt like they were in the background, so to speak, and now they see that they have a really good opportunity, and those guys have done everything the right way. So I think he's going to empower them, give them the confidence to move forward, and really help this program.
Josh, if you don't mind me going on here, that's a significant decision for you that you can handle any number of ways, not critical at all. I'm just curious what you thought about handling the first time where something like that's popped up and you have to make a call.
Well, I mean, I'm in charge of this basketball program and leading this basketball program. So, like I told all of our guys, I'm going to do what's in the best interest of everybody in the program, whether that be myself, the assistant coaches, all those players that are looking at me for leadership. I'm going to make the right decisions for the best interest of everybody. And that's the way I look at it.
Let me ask you this, and we'll make it hypothetical, but Jose said that it involves study hall, and I'm not going to ask you if that's what it involved or not. But on a basis of setting up team rules and the likes, you got a kid who came to school, you say you're proud, he graduated, he got his degree, if indeed study hall was involved in that. I mean, a 25-year-old guy who's got a degree, does he have to go to study hall?
Not going to get into that. I mean, I talked about the non-negotiables in the first team meeting, and there's a lot of non-negotiables, and I wasn't going to compromise the integrity of the program and the culture of the program. So that's where I'm going to leave it. We're moving forward. We got a great group of guys and doing everybody else in the roster really doing everything the right way, and we're going to reward those guys, and we're going to move forward.
Josiah Harris, is that a guy that could benefit from this?
100%. And what an excellent kid with a great approach and does everything the right way, comes into work every day. I look at the stats the other day. I keep on talking about rebounding. I mean, rebounding's been an issue, and I think JoJo got like 8 rebounds in that 22 minutes. So he understands where he can be effective for us, and we want to keep empowering him and giving him that confidence to keep coming in every day and helping us.
He goes about Offrey, I think I'm pronouncing it right, and how you got on him and what you seen.
Ofri's been
Such a breath of fresh air as well. I mean, there's a language barrier there for sure to try to navigate in terms of teaching him, but he's got such great instincts for the game. And each and every day when we come out there, I feel like Ofri's getting better, and he's not trying to force anything. He's just letting the game come to him. But he does so many things for us. When at first you looked at him, you're like, well, this is a big, strong, this is a man's league. Is he going to be able to help us? And we've really prioritized, diet and nutrition and the weight room with him. And once he gets that strength, he's going to be a force because he's got a natural instinct for the game. So he's going to, at first you thought, well, maybe he's not going to get very many, minutes and we're going to develop him. But we're looking at Ofri as playing a significant role. Deshaun was connected through some people. Deshaun played overseas for a number of years in Israel, and I think he had some connections there. And people that he got to know, reached out, and we started looking at his film, and he was very intriguing. I wish he'd had another 30 pounds of size to him and mass to him when he showed up, but we'll get there with him, and we're excited to have him. And Deshaun's been great with those connections and bringing him in that fill a void that we needed to fill right away in this summer. So.
You mentioned Jeremiah. Do you have anyone who can kind of fill that KD Johnson role of being an on-ball defender like that and kind of getting into someone's face up and down the court?
Kobe's probably the guy. You kind of got to stay on Kobe in terms of being aggressive offensively, because you guys have watched him over the course of several years that that wasn't his game. His confidence is starting to skyrocket. I think I talked about that last time we had a media session. From last year to this year, he's probably by far the most improved guy from a carryover standpoint. And he's going to be the one that probably picks up a lot of minutes as a backup point guard at this point, mainly because Jeremiah is to a point that we still got to get him some reps and figure out where he is. When we start getting into those bye games and those non-conference games. But when things get tough, we know Kobe's got that experience to go out there and run the show. And as a point guard, he's showing that experience. Now back to the defensive end, he is the guy that with the length and athleticism that can stay in front of someone. Is he as quick twitch as Keedy? Probably not. But if I had to go to someone to get a stop and lock someone down, that's Kobe Johnson.
You mentioned concerned about rebounding. Is this going to be maybe a deal where you value possessions? Is it going to be one of those types of teams, or is that still to be determined?
Still to be determined. We got to throw ourselves out against a real opponent. You look at rebounding and especially in a close scrimmage. How do you compare against yourself? So we need to run up against somebody and figure out whether rebounding is legit an issue. We certainly can try to foreshadow that being an issue and drill it each and every day. But we might come back from a close scrimmage and heck, we're a lot better rebounding team than we thought. But we have this other issue that kind of pops up. So at this point in time, especially in practice, day 7, it'll start to wear down on you because you don't know. And then we build up and we play someone, on that weekend of the 14th and 15th. So hopefully we'll have a much better, judge of where we're at.
With the late start you got and with all the newcomers you're throwing together, you're a long way from what Kansas is going through right now, or some of the other teams in the league. What's fair to expect of this team as it moves along?
I don't even think it's fair to really, have those conversations yet. We certainly, the ultimate goal is to get to the NCAA tournament with the best possible seed. And that's, I had those guys get together and do their team goals. And so many times over the years I've seen the lofty goals, and nobody really put together the goals and the system in place to get there. So I told those guys, and I saw as leaders, I said, when you do that and you have those conversations, put some systems in place. Put some numbers in place in terms of like offensive efficiencies, turnovers, how many you want to limit to or whatever those things are, and try to maximize yourself as a team in terms of your potential. Now, don't just put these goals without the systems in place. You have to put the smaller goals in place to try to reach, to maximize yourself as a team and an organization.
Coach, you were talking about guys seeing an opportunity with Jose being out. Is it as simple as just plugging, saying, hey, you get in? Is there more to it than that? I mean, there's got to be some kind of transition there for guys, I would imagine.
Well, we're talking about, Jose was here 10 months, he never played. So we're acting like we're filling a void that we had. I mean, sure, he was on the roster, and we had every intention of him playing and being a part of this program, but everybody else was in the same boat. I mean, everybody's, there's a lot of talk out there that he was a starter and this, that, and the other. That there was nothing to this point that I said or anybody said and promised that he would be to that level. We had a lot of guys competing with that. So I'm not going to come in here from day one and say, pigeonhole someone into, a position that they haven't earned yet.
Another question that you're going to have to answer until the decision's made, but Raekwon, anything new? You hear anything at all?
No, nothing yet. So we're just patiently waiting, and Raekwon's been, certainly it weighs heavy on everyone, but certainly weighs heavy on him, and I have personal conversations with him every day in terms of how to handle it and keep your head on straight, and he's just a special kid, and I can't wait till you guys dig into his story and get to know him, because he's someone that Mountaineer Nation can really gravitate towards and adopt as one of their own, and I think you all love him.
What does team chemistry mean to you, and how do you evaluate? I know basketball is such a small group. You guys are together so much. You travel. You're in a confined space. What does it mean to you? How do you value chemistry?
Chemistry and culture is first and foremost. I've seen some really, really good teams and very, very talented teams over the years that you wonder how the heck they're losing. They're losing mainly because there's chemistry issues. There's culture issues. And then you look at the flip side of that. You see a lot of teams that probably don't have nearly the talent that they're beating people because of their chemistry and their culture. And everybody's bought into the program. Everybody's bought into the staff. There's no arguments. It's, we go. We're all in this together, and we're gonna pull through, and we're all rowing in the same direction. And that's where you're building a program, that's where you got to get to from day one. You got to build that trust. You got to build that culture. You got to build that, build that up within the organization. You got to put people in place to lead the team and figure out who those people are, and then you hope every day they come into work with a great attitude, and that's where we're at right now. And I'm excited about the culture and excited about the chemistry, and sure, you guys probably have some questions as to who our rotations are going to be and what that's going to look like, but I don't. Next man up, we're going to figure out who wants to be here and who wants to do things right, and we're going to move forward.
Put that chemistry together when the players are, what are they, 8 new ones and coaches are new, and is it hard to develop that quickly?
Those challenges, that whole summer has been a complete challenge, and starting with your roster is a challenge in itself. And we talked about it before. I mean, I have good relationships with everybody on my staff, and I do. They haven't worked together before, though. Alex and DJ worked together a little bit, and as Alex was a GA last year, DeMar was an assistant, but we're bringing in Jordan McCabe, we're bringing in Deshaun Butler, so building that staff chemistry is just as important. And we meet every day, and we go over everything together, and we're always on the same page, and we don't always agree, but at the end of the day, we come to a conclusion, and this is the way we move forward. So sure, the staff chemistry is important, the team chemistry is important, and how we gel as a staff and as the athletes together. I mean, that's important as well, just as important.
You mentioned the language barrier with offering. How do you deal with that? Is that something, do you have past experience with that at all?
I probably overplayed that. I mean, he speaks good English, but when you talk about from a basketball standpoint, the barriers even exist within all the other players that they might be 3 or 4 or 5 year guys that played with under different structures, under different systems, under different coaches. So not only is he coming in fresh and new, he's also got his English is a second language, so he's learned as well. So yeah, there's barriers, and we're just trying to pull everything together. He just has that extra barrier with English being his second language. But he speaks good English, and he's getting there. And like I said, he's got great instinct, great basketball instinct that it doesn't matter what language you're speaking. If you have that, it certainly helps.
Josh, your Friday night event has some stuff that a lot of schools don't do anymore, dunk contest and things like that. Why'd you pick the format you picked?
I had some input, but not a whole lot. I certainly wanted you guys to be able to, the fans, to be able to come out and see that. I wanted it to be more interactive. I certainly said that. They're going to play there at the end, and it's going to be kind of non-structured. But I wanted it to be interactive, where the fans could come out, get to know the guys, get some autographs, and it's going to be a great event. Just, I encourage all those fans to come out and get their picture taken with the new guys, get to know them, ask a couple questions, but it'll be fun. We're going to do a 3-point contest, get some assistants involved, and you might get to see Deshaun out there shooting some balls, and I'm sure those guys, if once they hear there's going to be in the gym late at night, because they are pretty hardcore competitors. So, but we got great athletes as well, and let's showcase it.
Clubhouse on the dunk contest? Do you have a?
I don't know. You have to ask Vegas on that one.
You mentioned your offense kind of been a work in progress. How's that coming along?
I kind of, I had lofty goals on how fast we could put it in. I would say from my standpoint, in the bare bones, I got about a third of it in. But I'm not going to push too hard. It's a long season. It really is. And I would rather them be locked in 100% on what we're doing than to, be looking around with a bunch of questions, because I've just kind of crippled them with too much. So I've kind of paused the last few days on adding too much, and we've just been drilling it 5 on 0. So they're getting really good in terms of, I wouldn't say, I'll back up a little bit. It's not really good crisp-wise where I want it to be, but the progress they're making has been very good. I mean, I'm excited about that.
Nomenclature and terminology, is it different wording?
It is. I mean, you take that for granted sometimes when you start using phrases, because every coach uses different phrases. Yeah. And so, that's not lost on me. Every once in a while, I'll just stop and say, you understand what we're talking about? This is a smash cut. It might be called something else, in a different program, but this is how we the terminology we use here. And we're on the same page in terms of our assistants, and we just got to figure out that, sometimes you see some question marks floating through people's heads, and you got to slow down and just teach a little bit.
Coach, you were talking about Josiah earlier, and I had a chance to ask you about this earlier, but he's still on track to graduate in December, right? He's been here, a year and a half?
Yeah.
So, what kind of kid is he that is enables him to graduate in a year and a half?
No, I brought it up the other day with him. We're getting some food, and I said something about classes and how things are going, and it just, every time I talk to him, it's an incredible story in terms of how he can graduate that quickly, being a sophomore in college. And he looked at me, he said, they're paying for it. Why wouldn't I take as many classes as I can? And you just don't hear that from college athletes anymore. He's taking advantage of what's put in front of him. While someone's paying for it, he's going to take as many classes as possible and get the best possible education. And that's a beautiful thing, and it's refreshing to hear in 2023. So I hope he comes out of here with 2 really good degrees and maybe even a emphasis somewhere else on one of the degrees. So he's taking advantage of it, and he does everything the right way, and we're excited to have Josiah Harris, and I think Mountaineer Nation can hang their head on people like that and the way in which they conduct their business.
Has he thought about academically what he'll do after December? I mean, with graduates?
I'll wait for him to decide all that, and he'll be up here on this podium, and you can grill him in terms of what that looks like.
He graduates as a sophomore. He may take every class offered here.
He might, and more power to him.